Forbidden Rite is an all-time favorite. It's Path of Exile's strongest chaos spell featuring high damage potential by default, but needing many quality of life improvements from the player side to be usable. We are talking high chaos resistance, lots of attribute complements, life recovery, and lots of mana recovery. You just need to scale these things and you already got yourself a high damaging build. But damage isn't the only thing we have here. We are well rounded against all types of damage. Let it be physical, elemental, or chaos. The build is just perfect considering that we self-cast Forbidden Rite, as that's the cheapest way to play the skill compared to something like cast on crit. So anyway, let's begin with our Ascendancy. We are an Occultist. Occultist is the best Ascendancy for supporting chaos builds. First we begin with Void Beacon. This node shreds 20 chaos resistance from nearby enemies. It also disables their life regen, which is especially useful if Maven is witnessing the fight. From here we path to Withering Presence. This node grants us 15% more chaos damage and inflicts Wither debuff on nearby enemies once every second. Wither makes enemies take 6% more damage and stacks up to 15 times, effectively doubling your damage. Now we have other faster means of inflicting Wither in this build, so you won't be needing to wait 15 seconds to maximize your damage. Now, one more thing that this node provides is 60% chaos resistance. Usually having chaos resistance is only considered a luxury, but not in this build, as we are going to need the maximum achievable chaos resistance of 90% to mitigate Forbidden Rite's self-inflicted damage. Otherwise, the build is just unplayable. You have been warned. Anyway, from here we take Profane Bloom. This is the best clearing Ascendancy node in the entire game. All you have to do is automate a curse and watch everything explode whenever you kill something. This thing is the reason why you can clear multiple screens in one cast. Last but not least, we have Forbidden Power. This node increases our maximum power charge count by 1. It also increases our area damage and area of effect with power charges. Remember that stacking power charges with something like Void Battery allows for massive damage at low cost. Also, scaling area of effect is nice for scaling the size of our explosions, further improving clearing speed. But with that, we are done with our Ascendancy. Now let's take a look at our passive tree. Our tree focuses on life, spell damage, chaos damage, spell crit chance and crit multi, increased mana and mana regen, and power charges. Next we have two large cluster jewels. These add some powerful chaos notables like Touch of Cruelty, Unholy Grace, Wicked Pale, and Dark Ideation. Next we have two medium cluster jewels. Both of them adds the following notables: Towering Threat and Vast Power. Finally, we have three identical small chaos cluster jewels, all of them adding Born of Chaos notable. This one increases our maximum chaos resistance by 3%, which is required to reach the 90% cap. Just make sure that your small jewels adds the minimum amount of passives in order to save as many passive points as possible. Now for mastery choices, we have 10% more chaos damage dealt to enemies that have energy shield, 3% increased damage per power, frenzy, or endurance charge we have, 10% reduced mana cost, and plus 25% to critical strike multiplier against unique enemies. But with that, we are done with our passive tree. Now let's talk items. First we have the signature weapon for gaining too much damage with power charges, and that is Void Battery. This one increases our maximum power charges, it grants us global crit chance and cast speed, and increases our spell damage per power charge. Easily best in slot and can't be beaten by any mirror tier equivalent. Anyway, next we have a very powerful defensive item, and that is the Doppelganger Guise, a Maven specific body armor that grants us up to 40% less physical and chaos damage taken. That alongside 10% life regen if we have been hit recently. The simple act of casting Forbidden Rite hits us, causing this regen boost to be always active. Next we have a Crown of the Inward Eye unique helm with +1 to maximum power charge corruption. This helm with this specific corruption is best in slot. If you can't get it, then just craft yourself a decent rare helm with life and +1 maximum power charges. Just keep in mind that you will always have less damage regardless of how good your crafted rare helm is, since this helm is best in slot. Anyway, our next item is All Netol's Vow. This unique amulet causes whatever support gem socketed into it to also support skills in our main 6-link setup. This effectively allows us to run Forbidden Rite on a 7-link. Just make sure to get yours with positive resistance rolls. Also make sure to anoint it with Infused, as it is the last power charge node that we couldn't manually afford to allocate on the passive tree. Now for our gloves, we have a Generate GG Caster gloves with Culling Strike, Chaos Resistance, Life, and Cast Speed. These gloves are best in slot, however you can always get one without damage mods to save currency. Just make sure that you have at least chaos resistance here for the reasons stated before. Now for our boots, we have Tailwind elusive boots with movement speed, life, and resistances. Having Tailwind and elusive is usually considered a luxury as they only increase your speed. We are not using Mage Blood in this build, so if you are used to playing fast builds, you are going to need these mods to make up for it. And speaking about build, we have a rare Stygian Vice that has resistances, chaos damage, lots of life, and crafted attributes. Last but not least for our rings, our first ring has life, mana, strength, and the resistance roll. You can always slam your rings with Warlord Exalted Orb if you have an empty suffix for a chance to hit crit multi. Our second ring is pretty similar in that it provides basic stats like attributes, life, and resistances. But with that we are done with our items. Now let's go over gems that goes inside of them. For our main 6 link setup we have Forbidden Rite, Awakened Void Manipulation, Awakened Spell Echo, Awakened Greater Multiple Projectile Support, Increased Critical Strikes, and Increased Critical Damage. Remember that this setup will be supported with Power Charge on Crit, which we have socketed in our amulet. Anyway, next for our main aura setup, we have Despair, Determination, Awakened Blasphemy, and level 4 Enlighten. Next we have a defensive 4 link setup. This one contains Steel Skin, Automation, More Duration, and level 6 Arcane Surge. Next we have a 4 link setup with some leftover auras. We have max level Vitality, max level Clarity, level 1 Precision, and the Portal Gem. Last but not least we got a 3 link setup that applies Wither debuff on enemies. We got Wither, Spell Totem, and multiple totem support. Just summon your totems before the fight starts and you should be good to go. But with that we are done with our gems. Now for jewels. For our Watcher's Eye, we have plus 30 to critical strike multiplier while affected by precision, and 15% increased life recovery rate while affected by vitality. Next we have a glorious vanity timeless jewel that specifically mentions Jibiqua. This jewel will convert all nearby keystones into Divine Flesh. Divine Flesh increases our maximum chaos resistance and causes half of all elemental damage we take to be taken as chaos instead. This provides a huge defensive boost because we are capped on chaos resistance. Anyway, this jewel will also convert nearby nodes into some random crap. The point is to keep trying different ones until you get a combination of nodes that makes sense. Any remaining jewel socket you have left should be filled with a normal rare jewel like this one. We are looking for life, area damage, projectile damage, and crit multi. Alright, now for Bandit's quest, we are going to help Alira. As for Pantheons, we got the Soul of the Brine King and the Soul of Tokuhama. And that was it for our best Forbidden Rite build ever. If you guys have enjoyed this video, then feel free to leave a like and maybe consider subscribing so you don't miss out on any future build guides like this one. My name is Phoenix and I will see you all in the next video.